In today's world, as 20th century warfare technology is gradually losing its effectiveness, hypersonic missiles have become an indispensable element of modern era military technology, both for offensive and defensive purposes. However, these cutting-edge missiles are extremely expensive, and the cost of some of them has risen to levels almost comparable to a country's national income, especially over the past 15 years. This increase has become nearly impossible to contain. However, this technology offers us both offensive and defensive capabilities at speeds of nearly 6 times the speed of sound. And the most effective system enables attacks from above the atmosphere. When radar systems positioned for defensive detect such missiles, if they do not possess faster hypersonic missiles in response, the radar tower can be destroyed within minutes. These missiles, which reach speeds close to Mach 6, are the possessions of the United States of America and are referred to as long-range hypersonic missiles. However, the company that produced these missiles has given it the name Black Eagle. This state-of-the-art missiles, which is virtually impossible for enemy air defense system to interrupt, has been reported by research companies in the United States to cost $41 million for a single unit. To better understand how large this amount truly is, consider the following example. The gross national product of more than 10 countries, whether members of United Nations or independent states, is below $41 million. In other words, with an amount of money, only one hypersonic missile called Black Eagle can be purchased. This is extremely frightening cost for a single missile. In fact, using such a missile in wartime could cause you to lose a war rather than win it. In modern conflict between states, the average number of missiles used often exceeds 100. If Black Eagle missiles are used in such a conflict, the total cost could reach trillions of dollars. While employing such expensive missiles might help you win a battle, it could also plunge your country into an economic crisis for the next 10 years. Today, this kind of economic collapse is an even more effective cause of state failure than war itself. And economic pressure of this scale could lead internal unrest in uprising within the country. This also means losing a war in the long term. It's precisely at this point that three engineers who previously worked at SpaceX come into play. After leaving SpaceX, they founded a company called Casteleion, which offers a solution. Influenced by the inflated pricing common in defense industry contracts, these three former SpaceX engineers entered the missile systems sector, currently receiving the largest share of the defense budgets. The missile systems they developed is called BlackBear. This system possesses hypersonic missiles technology, which means it operates at speeds above Mach 5. What makes this system special is not the missiles technology itself, as more advanced versions of this technology already exist. The key difference lies in the cost. While similar systems are sold for millions of dollars, the BlackBear missiles developed by Casteleion is sold of amounts of measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, the goal here is not to maximize the missile's speed or range, but rather to address the shortage of missile capacity, both in the global market in the United States at a much more reasonable cost. 1. Budget problems in hypersonic missiles. If we need to define hypersonic systems precisely, hypersonic is a term given purely based on speed. This can apply to aircraft, missiles, and perhaps in the future even to high-speed train or specially designed road vehicles. According to dictionary definition, Mach 1 corresponds to speed of approximately 1,225 km per hour at 50 degrees and all speeds above Mach 5 around 6,125 km per hour are defined as hypersonic speeds. However, such speeds already exist during World War II among the warring states in Europe. So, why does the fact that today's ballistic missiles are hypersonic cause such fear? The weaknesses of early hypersonic missiles was that both their launch point and target could be calculated using a simple computer and a few mathematical equations. This was because older hypersonic missiles had no maneuverability. As a result, their trajectory and impact point were predictable and it was possible to determine their destination even half an hour in advance. This provided a form of attack that was fast and powerful, but also one that could be intercepted when necessary, something not particularly desirable in warfare. Over time, missiles technology evolved on missiles with different characteristics and disadvantages were developed. If we look at some of the main types, the first type consists of missiles that are extremely fast and have a gliding disband capability. These are referred to as boost glide vehicles. They allow the operation military to conduct covert attacks and counter-strikes. Structurally, their nose resembles in an inflatable plant-like space module. When these missiles exit the atmosphere, it sheds these inflated modules. Much like rockets, describe their full stage when launching payloads into space. Normally, a missile traveling from launch a target would follow a semicircular ballistic trajectory. But after discarding these modules, the missile flexes toward the target almost like an elastic balloon bending due to aerodynamic effects. As a result, it becomes extremely difficult for radar systems to look onto such a missile. The second type consists of cruise missiles, which have been used by Western forces in the Middle East against Muslim civilian populations. The operating principle of these missiles resembles the breathing motion. The system's long-distance flight, which requires significant energy. They use energy called scramjets and maneuver continuously during flight. These missiles travel below the upper atmosphere, maintaining hypersonic speeds above Mach 5. Maneuvers at such speeds and low altitude generate terrifying noise due to atmosphere effects. This not only affects the target area, but also makes it extremely difficult for radar systems to detect the missile's since it's traveling under the atmosphere at Mach 5 or higher. Even if radar systems to detect the hypersonic speed levels very little time for interception or response. 2. Why the West concerned? For a very long time, the United States was the unspent leader of the world thanks to the technology it possessed. This dominance allowed it to carry out military interventions under the name of freedom, against any state it wished. Whether on the other side of the world or in the Middle East, and to do so with pinpoint strikes on the most critical location. This situation continued in this way until recently. However, the United States has now fallen behind the field of hypersonic missiles. When we look at Russia, we see that it possesses the Casteleion hypersonic missile. Thanks to its high maneuverability, this missile can bypass all existing defense systems. It can be equipped with both nuclear and conventional warheads. And more importantly, Russia has recently introduced an even more effective ballistic missile equipped with advanced hypersonic technology called OREŞNİK. On the other hand, in Asia, China possesses hypersonic missiles such as the DS-70, designed specifically to sink aircraft carriers. One of the most striking aspects of the system is the China public displayed it on the tracks during its National Day celebrations, demonstrating that hypersonic missile technology can be transported on mobile platforms. Again, in Asia, North Korea possessed ballistic hypersonic missiles, while in the Middle East, Turkey, which has become a regional power, introduced its hypersonic ballistic missiles, Typhoon, just a few months ago. These developments caused the greatest concern for the United States and Israel, which is almost constantly in conflict with surrounding countries using its military power. And the issue received wide coverage in Israel media. The United States, however, is currently close to failing in this area. The USA military possesses only a limited number of hypersonic missiles that are intended to be used only in the event of the Third World War. And each of these missiles costs millions of dollars. They are so expensive that they cannot be stockpiled. Indeed, during the 12-day conflict between Israel and Iran, USA media widely reported that the stockpiles of THAAD air defense system missiles supplied by the United States to Israel were nearly depleted in just 12 days. The reason is simple. These missiles are so costly that even the world's largest economy, the United States, cannot afford to stockpile them in sufficient numbers. In other words, it's not enough for a missile to be powerful, fast and deterrent. It must also be economical. In a potential war, if the conflict cannot be ended within a few days, hypersonic missiles with no stock reserves will be exhausted quickly. When this happens, very few credible deterrent weapons remain, and this can reserve the outcome of a war that was close being fought if the conflict drags on. It's precisely at the point that 3 engineers who left SpaceX and founded their own company, Casteleion enter the picture. The difference in their working approach had a significant impact in the United States. Instead of following the traditional defense industry model creating computer presentations, driving to theoretical designs and waiting for decades while calculating impact zones, maneuver scenarios and thousands of possible variables, they choose a radically different path. Rather than presenting a prototype, they launched the actual missile itself at a facility in New Mexico, destroying the designed target in front of representatives from the USA Department of Defense and an influential consortium. By doing so, they demonstrated the missile's real-world effectiveness, speed, and destructive power concrete terms. In this way, they compressed what would normally be a 20-year development process into just 1 year and moved directly into production. Even more strategically, they entered the field of hypersonic missile production, which traditional US defense companies had long deterred almost as a graduated source of revenue. 3. BlackBear. Yes, BlackBear is the name of the missiles produced by the company Casteleion. So, what makes these missiles important? Is it its longer range or greater destructive power? No, because the United States already possesses missiles with those capabilities. What truly sets these missiles apart is that instead of costing $41 million per hypersonic missile, it costs approximately $400,000. In other words, it can be produced at nearly 100 of the cost while still being hypersonic. There is, however, difference. A range is not as long as the hypersonic missiles currently is the USA arsenal, and its area of the effect is similar. Nevertheless, it remains hypersonic, deterrent, and the most important stockpileable. To explain with an example, if you want to plug a fight, you don't need the vehicles worth millions of dollars. You can do job much more effectively with a simple tractor, and the process will be more effective and economical. The BlackBear missiles offers major advantages by being both economical and more effective in area warfare, while also being easy to stockpile. Of course, this system also has its disadvantages. The most critical one is the following question: is the hypersonic missiles you launch $41 million region-destroying missiles capable of eliminating major defense bases? Or is it a BlackBear missile designed to destroy a specific area? Alleged BlackBear missiles may be mistaken for a Black Eagle missiles, which costs $41 million per unit. If it is misidentified and a response is made with a nuclear or near-nuclear level hypersonic missiles, this is exactly where the dangerous aspect of using such weapons emerges. Otherwise, the outbreak of a third world war at an unexpected moment would not be unthinkable. So what do you think? Is the BlackBear hypersonic missiles produced by Casteleion truly an advantage, or is it a weapon that must handle with extreme caution, one that could potentially open the door to a major war due to the missing interpretation. Let's meet in the comments. Goodbye and see you again another incredible design.